On the news, Nigeria mourns former petroleum minister David West. El-Rufai debunks stepping down as chairman of APC's campaign council in Kogi State. And Cameroon announced date for parliamentary polls after several postponements. A warm welcome to News Now. I am Fidelia Aguncha. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed deep sorrow over the death of David West, a former Minister of Petroleum and an ex-commissioner for education. Tam died at the age of 83 in a statement signed by his spokesperson, Femi Adesina. President Buhari described David West as a friend and ally. He commiserated with the David West family and people of Rivers State while praying for the repose of the deceased soul. David West served as Commissioner of Education in the Old Rivers State. He also served as Minister of Petroleum and Energy under the Muhammadu Buhari military regime and Minister of Mines, Power and Steel under General Ibrahim Babangida. Danger was averted on Monday in the Baruwa-Ikpaja area of Lagos State after a petrol tanker went up in flames. The fire, which was put out by men of the fire service, was said to have been caused by the activities of pipeline vandals. According to eyewitness reports, the suspected oil thieves came with 8 petrol tankers. 7 successfully escaped with the product, but the last one caught fire when it cut an electricity supply cable, which led to the burning of 2 other vehicles. Though no lives were lost, the vandals are said to have taken to their heels on citing security officers. The police have now launched a manhunt for the culprit. Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State has debunked reports that he steps down as chairman of the All Progressives Congress Campaign Council in Kogi State. In a statement issued by his special advisor on media and communication, Muyiwa Adekeye, El-Rufai noted that he will continue to campaign to persuade electorate in Kogi State to re-elect Yahaya Bello as governor for a second term. He also described the report of him stepping down as fake news, warning the perpetrators to desist from the evil act. Kogi State will head to the polls on Saturday, November 16, 2019, to decide who will govern the state for the next 4 years. Well, ahead of the November 16 governorship election in Bayelsa State, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has urged all stakeholders to resist all forms of violence that could mar the polls. Chairman of the commission, Mahmoud Yakubu, said this at a stakeholders meeting held with the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, in Bayelsa State over the weekend. The INEC chairman maintained the commission would commit to non-violence before, during, and after the election to ensure a free, fair, and credible process. On his part, the Inspector General of Police also assured all residents of safety during the poll.
Voter inducement in all forms, including vote buying at polling units, is a violation of the law. The ban on the use of mobile phones and other photographic devices in the voting cubicles is still in force and will strictly enforce and monitor compliance. I urge all stakeholders to continue to eschew violence and maintain peaceful conduct during the election. It is our collective responsibility to safeguard the process and protect all election duty staff, including the youth corps members who serve at the polling unit level, which is the basic level of the voting process. It is also our collective responsibility to extend the same protection and allow freedom of movement and unimpeded access to polling and collation areas for accredited observers and the media during the election. Parties and candidates will be required to sign the peace accord, resolving, pledging, affirming, and committing to non-violence before, during, and after the election.
This is an isolated election, so we've made adequate security to take care of these situations. If you have friends that are living in the neighboring states, whom you think you can invite on the election day to come and assist you, advise them that it is no more the same. It is not business as usual. Things have changed. They better stay where they are. But if they come within this territory, I'm afraid they may not be able to go back.
I want to appeal to the stakeholders to please be mindful of the safety and security of these members, because they are not Bayelsians. They are here to serve the good people of Bayelsa. So I want to call you to please protect them and cooperate with them.
Still on electoral matters, the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, has blamed the low level of voters' participation at council elections on the low mobilization and involvement of political parties at the grassroots. Chairman INEC, Ayotunde Phillips, said she was not happy with the low turnout of voters at the council by-election held in Ebonyi, Olaleye Ward E of mainland local government area of Lagos State. The INEC commissioner in charge of mainland local government, Noah Jinadu, who led his team to monitor the by-election process, also faulted the inappropriate mechanisms put in place by political parties.
Everybody be made aware how important their vote is. One vote can make or mar an election, can decide who rules them, who rules this country. So they just have to be aware that sitting at home is not going to solve their problems. You can't sit at home, refuse to vote, refuse to participate, and then complain. If they come out en masse and say, okay, we don't want this person, and they vote across party lines, we want somebody else, then the political class will realize that the people cannot be led by their noses anymore. So a lot has to be done to sensitize the people about why the situation is what it is today. They have to come out and vote and show their displeasure by the pattern of voting. Simple.
It's just about the parties. The parties should step up. They should make sure they do the needful. They should perform as they should, so that people will be interested in coming out to vote. So it goes back to the party. Our own is to organize and conduct election, which we are doing.
It's a multifaceted problem. It's a problem with the voters, who should know that even if a government is bad, it's your duty to exercise your right of either retaining that government or taking it away by voting for a person of your choice. Secondly, the government at the grassroots, including local government, must also step up their mobilization effort to let people know outside of the normal routine things that they do, there must be a specific program of voter education that each local government must step up.
The spate of insecurity in the country has become worrisome and life-threatening. The country moved from dealing with bomb attacks to kidnappings and a host of other insecurity. Now, this forms a fulcrum of discussions at a citizens' summit in Lagos themed State of Insecurity in the Nation, organized by National Association of Sea Dogs. The summit attracted security experts from different parts of the country who also commended the efforts of the military in combating insecurity, particularly in the northeastern part of the country. Adeshawa Dushaga, more.
Hardly would a day pass by without a story of how one of many people are being killed by the bombers, ritualists, kidnappers, cultists, or even the dreaded group Boko Haram. These terrifying incidents have left the citizens of the country and the international community with concerns. Meanwhile, as part of its measures to restore sanity to the system, the Nigerian military announced plans to begin a systematic identity checks nationwide tagged Operation Positive Identification. This would see soldiers accosting citizens on the streets or highways and asking them to produce means of identification on the spot. But security experts says this is a right step in the wrong direction.
I saw that the military is making statements about checking people's ID it was a surprise to me. Well, I was surprised in the sense that we will be looking at a situation where the immigration services and the national identity card management services are the ones checking people's ID, and the military can be a backup when they identify that, oh, we have detected some absconding Boko Haram people and all of that people. Then especially also where there is armed attack upon those that want to perpetrate it in areas that are beyond civil space.
But despite the backlashes received over the Operation Positive Identification, the military also received commendations for the improvement in the nation's security.
The efforts of the military actually should be commendable, because if you look at the constraint of managing our political irresponsibility, if you look at the constraint of managing our national citizens' irresponsibility, if you look at the constraint of managing the bad elements within the military, if you look at the constraint of not being able to own and capably utilize international standard equipment. So all of those have been encumbrances that the military is facing right now.
Well, I can't say we are where we should be, but I can confidently say that we have made progress over the years. Because if you look at the last 10 to 15 years, there have been situations where the insurgency had gotten to a point where so many local governments were taken over by Boko Haram. But today, all those local governments have been reclaimed by the armed forces.
To the extent that today we are not hearing of those almost day-to-day bombings and week-to-week horrific news coming from the Northeast, I would say to that extent, there must have been some progress. For the tension to have been doused to this level, I'm sure that we will give the military at least an average.
Nigeria is ranked among the 5 least peaceful countries in sub-Saharan Africa, and it retains its 148th position from the last year among 163 independent states and territories. With the recent improvement in the security level of the country, hopes have been restored to the minds of many of its citizens. Adeshewa Odushoga, TV360, Lagos.
Operators of commercial tricycles, also known as keke napep, have raised alarm over a secret plan to ban their operations in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Leadership of the Tricycles Owners Association of Nigeria disclosed this to journalists on Monday in the Federal Capital Territory. National President of the Tricycle Owners Association of Nigeria, Augustine Akpe, says they have suffered intimidation from men in uniform for 17 years. They called on the government to intervene, adding that the alleged plots to ban their operations will affect a total of 40,000 operators who come from different states in search of greener pastures in the Federal Capital Territory.
Those who the FCT government usually send to us to arrest us, to harass us, to terrorize us, they are not well oriented in their job. The VIO, to be specific. Their job is to extort money from tricycle riders, terrorize us. We have seen very much of this. That is why we want to be proactive this time. We want to vehemently come out on time and begin to tell the world that what we have been suffering for 17 years, so another one is coming.
Most of us are graduates. We are passed out of the school for over 15 years, no job. We have been surviving on this NAPEP project since Obasanjo created this project. We have been surviving on it, feeding our families, feeding Nigerians where there is no job. Over 50,000 Nigerians in FCT here are benefiting from this keke napep business. And you just come a day and say you want to ban them on the street. You don't want to see any keke napep. Not even without giving them any job, replacement of any job. Against the bound of the tricycle business in FCT, and we want to say that from now henceforth, let the minister rethink. Call the stakeholders on board. Let's talk.
Civil rights group African Center for Media and Information Literacy are demanding an end to the clampdown on free speech in Nigeria. The group, in partnership with media organizations, are hoping to find solutions to the incessant attacks on journalists and activists in the country. Abisola Adebayo.
Freedom of speech is a fundamental human right, but it is often said that freedom after speech is not guaranteed. In the past months, scores of journalists and rights activists have been attacked, arrested, and tried for criticizing the government. To correct these ills, stakeholders from various sectors in the country have gathered to provide possible solutions to the matter. Executive Director Enough is Enough Nigeria, Yemi Adamolekun, sets the ball rolling. She says to end the clampdown on freedom of expression, Nigerians must be enlightened on their rights.
We need to be very deliberate about educating citizens about their rights and responsibility so they stop outsourcing their voice to us. Because we can't do it. We don't have the resources, we don't have the scale. But if every citizen is holding their local government chairman by the jugular, sitting in front of their home, then we'll have a change dynamic.
For another member of the panel, the judiciary is the solution to this problem.
Today, court will order release of someone for detention, and the same government, democratically elected government, will refuse. Our major focus should not be judiciary, quite frankly. We should not allow them. We have to keep them on their toes and make comparison.
Human rights group Amnesty International has been at the forefront in the struggle to hold Nigerian government accountable to its people. Representing the body at this forum is Osai Ojigo, who maintains that Nigerians must unite in the quest for freedom and accountability.
We need to be very clear that the structures that exist might be bad, but if we collectively stand to ensure that, look, this court is not going to move until this order is respected, and we're able to down our tools for that, it's not going to change.
We have a legitimate power, and that it is necessary to restrain that legitimate power in order not for it to affect rights of the people and rule tyrannically.
The highlight of the event was the launch of a book, Testimony to Courage, a collection of essays written in honor of Dapo Oloriyomi, a veteran journalist and publisher of Premium Times, one of Nigeria's top online newspapers. The book, edited by Chido Onuma and Frederick Adetiba, has over 90 contributions from a spectrum of Oloriyomi's teachers, colleagues, associates, and mentees. Abisola Adebayo, TV360, Lagos.
News now will continue in just a moment. Don't go away.
Corruption not in my country.
Now, yeah?
Yes, Oga. Okay. Where I go come find 300 naira change?
I better try look for change now. Don't do business. Hey, Timmy. Ade, bro. I be. I beg, give me 200 naira. Make I take sort out this guy. If let's say no get change.
Take it, give us.
I said 200.
Give her 100 naira.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree to pay 200 naira.
How much you think they carry people from that place we carry on the chair?
Oga.
Why they touch me?
Now 100 naira. He agreed to pay.
Because that was what you said was the fair. Why you not go pay you? Why you they extort your customer? You see this corruption, what would they hear for news? They see for people everywhere. Now be this so. This is corruption, not in our country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Welcome back. Let's now talk business with Oyin Adekunle. Hello, Oyin.
Hi, Fidelia.
So I hear power generation has actually dropped to a very, very low extent. Could you tell us more about this drop?
Well, the total amount of power on Nigeria's grid collapsed from a peak of 4,735.8 megawatts on Friday to as low as 145 megawatts on Saturday. Industry data obtained in Abuja on Sunday showed that the grid actually collapsed twice on November 8th and November 9th. On November 8th, the country's electricity grid recorded a partial collapse as it dropped from 4,735.8 megawatts to 429.5 megawatts. It, however, picked up and recorded a high of 407.1 megawatts on November 9, 2019. But this was not sustained as the grid collapsed again to 145 megawatts. Reacting to the collapses, the transmission company of Nigeria stated on Sunday that it restored full supply to the national grid at 4:54 p.m. on November 9, 2019, after the partial system collapse which occurred at 11:15 p.m. on Friday, November 8. The TCN's General Manager Public Affairs, Ndidimba, explained that the incident was caused by the tripping of the Lokoja-Gwagwalada transmission lines 1 and 2 power swing. He said the causes of the power swing were yet to be determined, adding that the tripping of the Onitsha-Alaoji transmission line over current also triggered the grid collapse. And the total assets and liabilities of commercial banks in Nigeria rose from 37.14 trillion naira at the end of November 2018 to 37.58 trillion naira as of the end of August 2019. The Central Bank of Nigeria disclosed this in its economic report for the third quarter of 2019. It stated that the total assets and liabilities of commercial banks as at the end of August 2019 fell by 0.1% compared to what was recorded at the end of June 2018. According to the report, funds were sourced largely from increased foreign liabilities, realization of foreign assets, and reduction of claims by the CBN. It added that the funds were used mainly to reduce unclassified liabilities, settlement of time savings and foreign currency deposits, and increased claims on the private sector. Oil prices steadied on Monday after industry data showed a drop in stocks at the Cushing, Oklahoma, but trade concerns weighed after U.S. President Donald Trump appeared to downplay reports of an imminent lifting of tariffs on China. Brent crude futures rose 14 cents to $62.65 a barrel, erasing earlier losses, while U.S. crude futures was down 1 cent at $57.23 a barrel. Prices found some support after data showed that crude inventories at Cushing, the delivery point for U.S. crude, fell about 1.2 million barrels in the week to November 8, traders said, citing intelligence from Genscape. Meanwhile, investors were still worried about the fallout from the 16-month U.S.-China trade war, which has slowed economic growth around the world and prompted analysts to lower forecasts for oil demand, raising concerns that a supply glut could develop in 2020. That's it from business. It's back to you, Fidelia.
For that update, let's now move to the foreign scene. But before that, we'll take a short break and return with details. Go ahead.
Corruption not in my country.
Madam, madam, welcome. Okay, madam, no worry. When you deliver the balance, we will give you the goods.
No problem, no problem. All right, so now well done.
Thank you.
Hey,
Oga, I still say she don't bring money. Maybe we use this one for him now. She wants mahogany, not white wood.
Oga, our work now to join wood together, deliver whatever to customer, put the remaining profit for pocket.
Abba, this is corruption, not in my country. Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Cameroon will hold its legislative and municipal elections on February 9, 2020. This is according to a presidential decree announced on Sunday. The last parliamentary elections took place in 2013 for a mandate of 5 years, but President Paul Biya, who has ruled Cameroon for 37 years, has twice postponed fresh polls. Biya, who is 86 years old, was re-elected last year, but the result was contested by his main opposition rival, Maurice Kamto, of the Movement for the Rebirth of Cameroon, MRC. The 65-year-old Kamto was jailed in January after his party staged several peaceful marches challenging that result. The West African country was for years considered relatively stable, but it has been shaken by a 2-year separatist uprising in the west, as well as attack by the jihadist group Boko Haram in the north. Nigeria's contingent to the FIBA 3x3 Africa Cup of Nations in Uganda earned a third-place finish in the under-18 girls category. The male team, on the other hand, finished fourth place as the teams got much-needed exposure and experience of the 3x3 basketball format. In the under-18 girls category, Nigeria won bronze after edging out the Democratic Republic in the third-place game by 8 to 6 points. The girls who lost narrowly to Uganda in the semi-final were determined not to leave the competition without an impression as they settled for bronze. And that's the news now. Many thanks for watching. I am Fidelia Aguncha.